It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the August 12th meeting of the Atwater City Council to order. We are going to start with an invocation by Ben Perez, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the city manager. So if you please rise.
Let's pray. Dear Father, Lord, we come before you and just ask you, Lord, to be with the members here, the council members, Lord. I pray that you be with the mayor and the public, Lord, to give them wisdom to speak, to let their point be across, Lord, and to be noticeable, Lord. I pray that you be over this meeting, Lord. Let things to go well. Don't let things go rapidly. Lord, I pray that you just put a hedge of protection over this meeting, Lord, and I pray that you be with everyone here tonight. In your precious name I pray, amen.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ambrose?
Here.
Button?
Here.
Kale?
Here.
Raymond?
Here.
Nelson?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Do we have any subsequent need items?
Mayor, there are none.
Alrighty. So now we are at the point of approving the agenda as posted. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so we're moving on to the consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If a council member requests separate discussion on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
All right, is there any public comment regarding the consent calendar? Seeing nobody come forward, I'm going to close the public comment now. Are there any items on the consent calendar that council would like to remove for separate discussion and possible action?
Mayor, number 8.
Okay, well, number 8. Can I have a motion then for the remaining items?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Button. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so item 8, approving a fee waiver requested by Bloss Memorial Healthcare District to use the Atwater Community Center to host a Senior Adult Information Day. Justin or Chris?
I just wanted to get it read out for public. I think it's a good event and a good opportunity for people, so I just wanted to have it read out. So you can explain it if you'd like, but
yeah, and Corey Billings will give more details on it probably as it gets closer, so the public remembers it. But yeah, it's a good thing. We're gonna have an event there for the senior citizens of the Atwater and just waive the fees. That way it can be done at a cheap cost for them.
okay. Hey,
Any other questions?
no. I'll motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Button, second by Raymond. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we're on to public hearings. Item 9 is a resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration in accordance with CEQA for the project and approve a tentative parcel map, a general plan amendment, a variance, and a site plan for the property located on the northwest corner of Sunset Drive and Everett Street in Atwater.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to request a continuance, and I can explain that the reasoning for that. So this project is a 25-unit multifamily project on Sunset Drive, and This item is one of two parts on the agenda. So item number 9 includes the environmental site plan, tentative parcel map, variance, and a general plan amendment. All of these items are bundled together, and they're for this 25-unit apartment development. Item number 10, which comes right after this item, is for the same project, but it's for the rezone. It's for the first reading of the rezone. So state law requires that we have 2 readings for the rezone, and what we'd like to do is, we're not there yet, but when we get to item number 10, we'd like to recommend that the city council accept the first reading, and then we'll have the second reading on August 26th at our next city council meeting. And so we'd like to continue this item, number 9, which is the rest of the project, to the August 26th council meeting, so that everything can be looked at together. And also another reason for continuing this is so that when we come back on August 26th, between now and then, we were planning on meeting with the applicant as they had a few questions on the conditions of approval that are part of this project, and we'd like to iron those out so that everything's ready to go when the city council meets.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm now opening the public hearing on this. Does the council have any objection for a continuance? Okay, seeing none. Is there anybody in the public that has an objection to the continuance? Seeing nobody come forward, this item is to be continued to August 26th of this month, of this year. Okay, so we'll move on to item 10, which is waiving the first reading by title only and in introducing an ordinance approving zone change number 23-19-0100 to change the zoning designation from residential estate RE to high-density residential R3 for the property located at the northwest corner of Sunset Drive and Everett Street. I'm going to open the public hearing. Staff, please present your report.
Sure. So we have, again, this is that 25-unit apartment complex project. The applicant team is here tonight if there are any questions for them. Also, since this is the first reading and the second reading will happen, is planned to happen on August 26th, now's a good time to ask questions. And of course, we'll have another meeting in 2 weeks where we can fully report on all the details of this project as they come together after meeting with the applicant one more time to resolve their questions.
Thank you. Does the council have any questions for staff?
I don't have any questions, just a comment. This is a really good project for the community, as it'll help get us to our housing element needs. So I think it's good to support this project.
Okay, seeing no other questions, is there any public comment on this item? Certainly.
Okay, good evening, Adam Reed. I'm representing the property owners, and we're working on the development for them. I just want to make sure too, we've been talking with staff. We have some ongoing dialogue with them about concerns that we have. It's a little more than the questions. We have some concerns with the conditions with some of them, and we want to make sure in the packet for this item, for item 10, it also included the conditions. So we just want to make sure the conditions are not part of this consideration.
Chris, comment on that.
Yeah, so the total package can be considered together. When we talk with you next week ahead of our next city council meeting, we can look at everything together.
Okay, but the rezone, the approval, or if you guys approve the rezone, the conditions are not part of the consideration.
This is only the first reading of the rezone, so when we come back for the second reading, we'll have everything put together and updated.
Okay, but again, they're not part of this consideration, right?
The zone change is just a zone change per the ordinance. There are no conditions technically attached to this ZODA.
Okay.
But there are conditions.
In the packet, they were, so I just want to clarify.
Right, but there are 2 separate items, but in the conditions for the project, those will be part of the approvals that will be at the next meeting.
Okay, all right, because they were in there twice, one for 9 and one for
Are there any other public comments? Come forward.
Hello, Council. My name's Jason Tucker. I'm a resident on Sunset Avenue, and I'm coming here just to share my concerns about the proposal for the ordinance change in my neighborhood. I'm coming with some lockjaw. You guys ever get lockjaw when I drive up and down that road and I get lockjaw with the speed bumps of the potholes. I have to fight that all the time when I go down Sunset. And the second thing I get lockjaw from when I'm driving on Sunset is when I get to Applegate Road there, that intersection, and I look to my right and I see all the cars coming really fast from Highway 140 to get to Atwater. And I get lockjaw if I have to pull out in front of them because I might get hit by somebody going 50, 60 miles an hour down Applegate Road to get to Atwater. The third reason I get lockjaw is when I turn left on Applegate and I get in that long line of cars to be able to wait just to get into Atwater because it's a tiny little, well, you guys all know, right? You've been to Target, been to Walmart, right? And you're just sitting there in that traffic with your lockjaw. And so I'm concerned. I think putting a high density, and that's what I read here in this description, high density is concerning to add some more cars and add some more people to that intersection, add more people to that neighborhood. I think it's going to create traffic concerns on that road right there unless you put a stoplight on the corner of Applegate and Sunset. You're going to have traffic concerns because I've had many near misses there. A little further up the street on Applegate just 2 nights ago, my daughter was driving her little Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I don't think you use the word homeless anymore, but unhoused person was driving their bike on Applegate very fast, ran right into her car. She wasn't even moving to, in his path or anything, just bam, right into there. That's a real dangerous road there, and so to relocate or to build high-density residential property in that area, it's not a good idea. There's better locations. I'm just right now driving down Winton Way, and I look across the street from Ivers and Alcorn. There's that fenced-in property next to the old dry cleaner's place. Seems like a great location. It's walking distance to Save Mart Shopping Center. There's Burger King, all of these restaurants and shopping that's in walking distance, very safe with crosswalks, easy access for, I'm assuming the high-density residentials potentially for lower-income families that need access to shopping and groceries and food and gas. All of these things are right there, but to put them out in the country on a road that just, is that my time?
It is your time.
I think my jaw feels better right now.
Oh, good.
So
I'm
thank you
glad to
for
hear
allowing
that.
me to share my concerns with you.
Glad to hear that. Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Becky Tucker, and I think the only additional thing that I would add is being in the county, as most of you know, we are already limited on our resources when it comes to the sheriff's department and things like that. And my concern would be crime. I mean, it's literally steps to the county from that area right there. And so my concern would be that crime would pour over into the county and that it would affect our resources even more with the sheriff's department, CAL FIRE, those types of things. I think in the last year we've had two murders along that way. We have a lot of crime out in that area, and so that would be my concern about putting high-density housing right there, as well as the congestion that it would create, not just on Sunset, but Applegate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody else come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing. So what we need now is a motion to waive the first reading by title only and introduce ordinance CS 1068, approving zone change number 23-19-0100, etc.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Kale. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion,
Okay, so, sorry, I stepped over you.
motion passes.
Okay. So this will come back at the August 26th meeting for further consideration. You'll have another chance at it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to reports and presentations from staff. We have item 11, which is approving an agreement between the City of Atwater and the County of Merced to lease space at the Merced County Emergency Operations Center for a Police 911 Communications Center. And Chief Salvador, please present your staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the community. Mike Salva, your police chief. I'm going to introduce Lieutenant Bill Novetsky, who will give this presentation. He's going to be the lead on the project, and he'll take any questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item before you, as we talked about, is the approving an agreement between the City of Atwater and the County of Merced for the lease space with the Merced County Emergency Operations Center for the Police 911 Communication Center. One of the things I wanted to start with is I know there was some concern about a consolidation. This is not that. This is basically sharing space. So I'll kind of cover a little bit of background of why we need this. The current dispatch center is located at 750 Bellevue Road. It's in this building, which is built in the late 60s prior to the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. This facility is outdated, and space here is very limited. It's at a premium for us. Relocating to a modern facility will address some of these issues for accessibility, infrastructure, and space to accommodate for us for our future needs. This was answering a solution to, you guys gave us directions to staff to find solutions to fix this problem, and this is what we came up with. So kind of the purpose of this agreement is the complete relocation of the 911 Communication Center, and that is for the operational efficiency and effectiveness of our emergency response services. Speaking as the operations lieutenant, that is a key factor for us. One of the things that does for us, it puts us under the same roof, and that allows for our staff and the sheriff's office staff to communicate. Being in critical incidences, it's imperative to have this, where instead of having the officers call dispatch contact the sheriff's office to assist us or vice versa, is paramount, where they can literally turn around, look at each other, and communicate. That saves time, and that is a tremendous asset, knowing, being here almost 20 years, this is a great asset to the city. One of the things that we're doing is the location is located at the 3500 North apron out at the old Castle Air Force Base. We're going to get about 960 square feet to lease. Our current center is about 200 square feet. So we've added a considerable amount of space for us, and I'll talk about cost very shortly. But the overall center is about 1,900 square feet. It's a newer building, and so upgraded. The electricity, air conditioning, break room space. This is all available to us, and I can tell you, based in our command center, in our communication center, we've experienced issues with overheating with the air conditioner because we have a lot of equipment in there. So this answers another need of when something needs to be fixed or repaired. So the infrastructure is huge. The equipment installation, that falls on the city. So we will be supplying our consoles. We will be supplying all the equipment that we have in our center. But we'll actually be adding up to 4 consoles. And where that's important is currently we have 2 in one room, and we have an overflow console in the next room over. That's not a good setup to what we have currently right now. So this allows us to grow. Because currently, sometimes our staff, we do have 3 dispatchers on at a time, with the current schedule. And what happens is they're divided. So they can't even turn and look at each other. They might have to be in operating another room. What this allows for is not only that piece, but when we're training somebody, it also offers difficulties and challenges where we're at currently. This will allow for up to 4 spaces where you can have a trainee, a trainer, and an additional dispatcher. This helps us out tremendously for special events and everything of that nature. Some of the terms and conditions I'll cover really quick. It's a non-exclusive license to occupy the dispatch center. Our responsibility, like I talked about before, is installation and maintaining our equipment, personnel. The term starts on July, if approved, starts on July 1st, 2024, and continues to June 30th, 2027. So obviously, that is getting the infrastructure piece up. There is work to be done if approved. Installing the equipment, whatever work needs to be done there to get us up and running, and I'll talk about a quick timeline. If it doesn't work out, we do have a way to get out of this contract. We have a termination for convenience that either party may terminate the agreement without cause by providing a 60 calendar day written notice. We won't incur any liability or obligation upon exercising that right. And then, of course, termination by cause, where if we can terminate the contract if we, fail to perform or default within 30 days and so forth. Some of the benefits is obviously I talked about is the modern facilities. This is so crucial to our people. And that's one of the things I want the council to take away. This takes care of our people. It puts them in a facility that is newer, that it brings a sense of pride to come to work and work out of a modern facility. We've done some great remodel here, and that has raised our morale, and this will continue by adding another facility. And and again, I talked about the shared resource in the beginning of the presentation. We have infrastructure savings out of this because if not approved, we would have to look at $150,000 in upgrading to meet those ADA requirements that we currently don't have. Again, that's huge if we were to hire an individual that needs accommodations. That we have a bathroom in there that would have to be upgraded, and some of the turning movements and whatnot. So that's huge for us. And this agency coordination, I can tell you as being an incident commander several times, this is a crucial key component for operations. The cost, the cost for what we're getting, the cost is roughly about $2,800 a month, about $36,000 a year, give or take. And that cost is, in my opinion, as an operations commander, is a deal of the Central to get what we're getting out of it. And so I wanted to cover that. And the timeline we're going to have is we're looking, if approved, we're looking at maybe them going to Board of Supervisors by the end of August, and coordination and infrastructure improvements completed by March of 25, with the project completion, if everything goes well, by the first quarter of 25. If anybody has any questions on this project, let me know. It's going to be paid for out of the general fund of the rents and leases it's already budgeted for the current fiscal year, and the equipment's budgeted out of the public safety tax and use fund out of machinery and equipment that is also budgeted for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Does the council have any questions? Mr. Raymond?
Yes, Mayor. So, Lieutenant Novetsky, so will our dispatch be with the Sheriff's Office Dispatch Center as well?
Yes, it's located in the same.
Right. So we will have cross-jurisdiction coordination at the same time?
Yes, sir.
That's great for the city. It's great for the county. And if I'm not mistaken, the EOC was built for just this, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I wish it would have happened years ago.
Oh, man. So I've been working on this with Sheriff Payson, Sheriff Warnke, Chief Salvador, the mayor for years. So I'm glad to see this happening. It's going to be great for the city and great for the county as well. Thank you. You did a great job, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions? Okay, I have a question. You're really pushing employee benefits for doing this, which I agree with you. But I just want to, if you could just go over what the staff input into this. Everybody's on board with it. The sheriff's employees are on board with it. We're not going to have any of those kind of headbutting issues.
Yes, Mayor. We've been working with the sheriff's office. One of the benefits we have is our public safety dispatcher supervisor was a former sheriff's employee that works very well with the supervisor of the sheriff's office. They work together. So that's been something that she's going to be helping me with this project and moving that along. And so as we move forward, they are going to be brought in as stakeholders also, in the sense of, as we do this project, she's going to go back, talk to them, because again, we're renting space, so it's really just taking our operation and moving it to a different location that's modern and that suits our needs in the sense of giving them a place to expand. Just to answer your question of talking about the support of it is, I can't tell you how many times they said, hey, it's hot in here, or it's, there's not enough space, we need to train, or they're just crammed in there. And the dispatch center hasn't been updated for years. I've been here, like I said, almost 20 years. And to do that cost is far outweighs what we're paying for getting something in the here and now, kind of within the next year or so, to give our employees a better space.
Okay, thank you. I retired from the fire department 22 years ago, and it looks the same today as it did then. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
That was to my next comment. Just if I'm not mistaken, you and the chief can answer this. I believe the grand jury has mentioned this specifically for the last 10 plus years, along with adding space to the police department itself. Is that correct?
This does fix this offers a solution.
Awesome. So now we're finally complying. So that's good. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment for this item?
I think this is a great project too, because, when I was part of this body, I can remember going into the dispatch area there, and there was huge fans trying to keep comm equipment going, and this is a good deal. Only questions I have is utilities. Who picks up the cost for that? I don't know, Bill, did you mention that at all? I don't recall if you did. But that, and also you mentioned that the equipment would be transferred between here and the emergency center. So is there a gap that'll be experienced in the movement of the equipment from one place to another? Or is the sheriff going to pick that up for the time that the transition is taking place? And you also mentioned Measure B for the radios. I'm not sure I understand what you meant by that. For the machine, under the machinery clause of Measure B, if you could explain that also. Appreciate it.
Okay, normally we don't engage in this, but Bill, will you come up and answer those three questions, please? I think it's important that people know what's going on there.
So the agreement is based on very similar to if you rent a room with utilities. This is all included in our rents and leases for that electricity piece. What we're doing for the Measure B is actually upgrading our equipment and adding. And so the equipment's going to, what we have currently is going to stay in play, and what we're ordering is new equipment to go over there. That adds to what we were talking about in regards for having something really nice. The dispatchers are going to have a nice space to work out of. They're going to have newer equipment, and so it's kind of like a refresh, restart of their area. So that is covered through the Measure B, through that line item for the budget.
All right, thank you. Okay, so any other, I don't see anybody else coming forward, so I'm going to close public comment. Who would like to make the motion?
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Button. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So now we're on item 12, awarding a cooperative government obligation contract with Republic First National Corporation to finance the purchase of one new Rosenbauer Commander Type 1 fire engine. Chief Iuso, please give us your report.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. I appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening, and thank you in advance for the consideration of this item. It is an extremely important one to me, and those of you that know me, I've been pretty devoted since I became your battalion chief as far as improving on our equipment and identifying a replacement plan and those types of things. So what staff's recommending tonight is the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine. Type 1 engine is what Engine 41 is, our newest apparatus in the fleet. That engine is currently a 2020. So it's going on about a 4 or 5 year engine. The apparatus that we're looking at presenting tonight, if approved, has got a 690-day build time on it. So realistically, we're looking at least 2 years before we see it. By the time we outfit it, and actually put it in service, we're probably looking late 2026. Once that piece of equipment gets here, the plan right now is to make that the new Engine 41. The current one would become a reserve apparatus, and we would retire. We have a 1999 currently in service as a reserve still at Station 41, so it's a 25-year-old apparatus. In improving the fleet and having newer equipment, more reliable equipment, and that sort of thing has a lot of benefits, and one of those being the associated costs with maintenance and upkeep of older apparatus. This would reduce those costs, and in turn, allow us the ability, with the more reliable equipment, to start trying to support state mission through our assistance by hire agreement, ABH agreement, and start sending apparatus out on state mission assignments. This piece of equipment specifically earns about $173 per hour when it goes out on state mission. That's just shy of $4,200 a day, so that it does have the opportunity to bring back some significant revenue to the city. It's just in past 6-8 years, we haven't had the fleet or the depth in the equipment to be able to send anything, nor has it been reliable enough really to send out. So that's very exciting. As far as the budget side of things, there was $400,000 identified in the 24-25 budget under machinery and equipment, Measure B funds, and that was to put a down payment on this apparatus. The overall cost of the equipment itself was $1,070,000 and $1,070,127. With a loyalty and prepaid discount of about $76,000, dropped the number to $994,227. What staff's recommending is that we use the $400,000 budgeted this fiscal year as a down payment, and then finance the remainder over the next 2 fiscal years. If that's done, we're looking at 2 payments to Republic First National of $322,454.25. That's including a 5.63% interest rate, leaving the overall cost to the city, including interest, of $1,044,908.50. I do want to add that is not including the equipment for the upfitting. There was a significant increase in price just due to inflation from the 2020 that we purchased at about $663,000, and this is based off of the same spec as well. So that's the end of my report. I want to thank you again for the consideration. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Bobby. Any council questions?
Yeah, I do. About how much are you spending every year on upkeep of your current engines? Especially the...
Do you have a good idea, Justin?
Older.
Our shop has been outstanding with trying to increase that, but I don't have an exact number on that.
That engine the past 3 years has been 40 to 50K a year.
Okay, all right.
And we have to ship it. We have to send it off. We don't have to work in-house.
Okay. That's what I need to know. Okay, thank you.
Okay, what happens if the economy crashes and we can't make the payments? And then in the next couple of years.
So yeah, that's something that we need to plan for accordingly. So hopefully, I don't know if our finance director wants to elaborate any further, but if we're trying to identify some funds, we're hoping that we're able to plan for that over the next 2 fiscal years.
Yeah, and I'll just say the contract allows for an exit clause if there's no appropriations that are sufficient to meet the expenditure on a budget year cycle. So there's that out clause should that happen.
Okay.
Or we could just pray that hyperinflation and Bidenomics goes away soon.
Well, you never know. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
With some of these stations in our general area that have closed, is this playing into account at all that maybe some other areas are going to be leaning on us for equipment? Does this play into that at all, or would this be standard procedure anyway?
So you're talking, I'm sure, with the county closures. Nothing, just so you're aware, nothing has closed yet. Without getting into too much detail.
Yeah,
about
sorry,
that.
I don't want to. Yeah,
We still have all the same county stations that are still functioning. So this is normal, routine operations for us, and is not in plans to compensate for anything outside of the city.
Okay. I think the only reason I asked that was because it kind of gave the impression that we were it was like we were getting this so that it can go out to other assistant areas, and obviously we want to help out as much as we can,
Right.
whatever we can do to help, obviously.
Right.
But
So when I talk about going out to assist, it's more on state mission deployments. So
Yeah.
up and down the state of California, we had a county engine that went up to the Park Fire, spent a few weeks up there making it just shy of that $4,200 per day.
Yeah.
I guess that point is, if we have the fleet to be able to support that, and the depth and the equipment, have reserves that are able to still function and support the city, we would be able to send them out. And then on top of that, we need equipment that's not going to break down, because the way that works is they get paid on an hourly basis. If it breaks down sometime tomorrow on the Park Fire, it stops getting paid from the time it's out of service. So when we send equipment out, we've got to make sure that we're sending our equipment that's going to run the whole time as well.
Right. And I didn't mean to, I just wanted to, I think, and I'm just going to vent my frustration, is I feel like Atwater, we've done a really good job. You've done a really good job. Our police department's done a really good job. And then, of course, Measure B, I feel like we've just kind of got ourselves in a not a great position. We're never in a great position, but we're in a pretty good position. Some of the surrounding areas are, in Merced County, as people know, there's a possible measure that's going to be going out there. There's, some issues, some shortages, I'll just say. And it's, I guess it's a little frustrating because here in Atwater, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job. And, I just want to, so that's all I was just wanted to,
Understood.
Yeah.
Chris, you had a comment?
Yeah, there's one quick thing on the agenda, the amount. There's a small typo, but everything else is good. So the resolution and everything is good. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So is there any public comment on this item?
Council. I guess my question is, do we need that big and fancy of a fire truck? What is the next step down, and what does that cost? And then stepping down, maintenance costs on a less sophisticated, more simplistic rig, and then that $600,000 to outfit this $1 million+ machine. What is it? The next step down. And then I guess just a quick follow-up is on the $4,200 a day, does that also account for the labor to staff it, or are we still, like, how much, what do we net on that $4,200 a day is also a question of mine. And then what is the projected use if we had it over the last 5 years, how much money would that have actually netted this city? Thank you.
Okay. I would encourage you to reach out to Chief Iuso after the meeting. He can get together with you and go over all those questions.
I guess I'm just going to encourage like, is this something that's getting approved today, or is this something where in an approval process like this, could we get like, could we extend it and say like, what's the next step down to help save the residents of Atwater taxpayer money? It's just like the question that I'm posing. Thank you.
I'm good to answer if you allow me to, Mayor. It's up to you.
Go for it.
Just to the start, first question you had was in regards to how big and fancy it is. So it is based off of the same identical spec that Engine 41 is. It's the same as what the county runs. It is a mid-grade build. Unfortunately, like I said, we did have a significant increase due to inflation. I mean, it was almost a $400,000 increase from 5 years ago, which, you know, the pandemic had a huge impact on that. So there was no, we did actually have a low bid engine that's still in service. What is that? What would you estimate the repair costs on that one, the 2010? I feel like that one's almost, because it was a low bid, we've had quite a few issues as far as repairs go. Probably pushing the same amount as the 99. And then as far as the upfitting, I don't know if I misinterpreted that, but 600,000. There was none of the equipment was accounted for in this number. That's going to be at a later fiscal year to identify those funds. And we're probably looking about $100,000, depending on what we're able to use off of old equipment to continue upfitting that one. And then lastly, a number that we've lost out on. It all is based on how active the fire season is. This season alone, I can tell you just from buying the 2 new command vehicles that we purchased, the 2 utilities that we've now been able to send out to date right now, fiscal year, we're pushing $20,000 that we've made just off of the 2 pickups. And they've been out pretty much since July 1. So they do bring back, and those are only making $265 a day. So to give you an idea, like I said, there's a Delhi engine that went up to the Park Fire 3 weeks ago at $4,200 a day. You do the math. I mean, it's bringing in a significant amount, and even if that is to put towards repair, maintenance costs and that sort of thing, it would benefit the city and the department as a whole.
Thanks, Bobby. Okay, any other public comment? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close public comment. Any council member like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the government obligation contract.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Ambrose. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so now we're on to city manager reports and updates. Item 13, update from the office of the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and the public. I'd like to talk about a few things. So the first is the city's looking at our camping code, which has existed for some years. And we've had a couple new developments happen that are related to this. So the Grants Pass decision was a court decision that it changed the way that the city could enforce our camping code, as well as Governor Newsom had a recent executive order that also encouraged cities to work on this issue. So we've met internally as a staff with department heads looking at our existing code and our procedures and our policies. And we also had a meeting with the district attorney to get on the same page and look at ways that we can collaborate. Our next meeting that we have scheduled is with the sheriff and undersheriff to go over the same topic, to look at kind of a unified front on how to address this issue. Part of it is that when we're doing a cleanup for an encampment, there could be needles or other things, biohazard, hazardous materials during the cleanup. We want to make sure that our employees are safe, so we're looking at sending out an RFP to contract with a company and invite companies to look at this RFP that would help us with specifically hazmat materials during the cleanup. We've also engaged with Turning Point, and we want to make them a partner in this process to make sure that the people that need services and want services can get those services. I've also sent a message to the California Interagency Council on Homelessness, asking for guidance and technical assistance that Governor Newsom tasked them to provide cities in his recent executive order. This would be helpful to us as well, but we're not exactly waiting for it. We're just hoping that it does come. And so the bottom line is that we're continuing to evaluate our policies on this, and we should see some progress. Next item that I'd like to report on is that the city successfully sent out a separate RFP for a consultant company to help us with updating a few of the things that haven't been updated for a long time, like our development impact fees. They're decades old, and they really need to get updated. So this is when a developer wants to subdivide land, or a developer wants to build a store, for example. They pay the city development impact fees for different impacts, like to transportation, different things like that. And in order for us to fund the activities that we need to in the city, we want to make sure that developers are paying their fair share and that they're not being subsidized. So that's part of the study that we'll be doing on our development impact fees. Also, we're looking at doing a comprehensive user fee study. This is part of the same RFP, and it will look at all the different permits and their costs, and looking at the different employees that are working on these things, how much time it takes them to complete them, and then adjusting our permits so that they're cost recovery and a full cost recovery, so that people that are looking to get a permit for XYZ in the city are also paying their fair share. And lastly, the third part of that RFP is to help us with a cost allocation plan, which deals with which fund each employee is paid from their salary, depending on what type of work they're doing. If they are an employee that focuses on our water system, then they would have a larger percentage of their salary paid from the Water Enterprise Fund. Same with sewer or the general fund. So most of the employees are paid out of the general fund. And so we're excited about that, and we sent that out. These are big projects that require kind of all hands on deck, and I'm really happy with the coordination and the teamwork that our executive staff has put together to make this happen. I'm really happy about it. And the last thing that I'd like to bring up just very briefly is there's some projects going on in the downtown area and on 1st Street and 3rd Street. So PG&E is working on a gas relocation project. So a lot of the work has been done underground already. You'll see driving through the city, there's some a bit of bumpy roads in a lot of places, to put it lightly. And part of this process is they dig, they trench, they replace, they work on the lines, and then they put a road plate. It's those metal plates on the roads. That's just a temporary, obviously. So once they're ready, they come back and they do a backfill, and then they'll patch it with a cold patch, which is it's a temporary solution. It looks kind of like a small bump on the road. So once they're ready, they will come back with they'll mill part of the road, and they'll fill it, and they'll put in a layer of hot asphalt mix. It'll make it look a lot nicer, and it won't be perfect, but it'll be a big improvement. And for a lot of the areas that have currently have singular patches, we'll see a lot more continuous line work, so that it's not up and down and up and down. It's more kind of like a continuous patch. So we're looking forward to that in the next couple of weeks, particularly in the downtown area on Drake Lee, Cedar Avenue, and the alleyway between Cedar and Broadway, as well as 1st Street. Those are the major areas that we're looking at having that hot mix applied in the next 2 to 3 weeks. There are other areas on Grove Avenue and 3rd Street, closer to Ralston Park, That will take more time, but we're working with PG&E to try to manage this and make it the best situation that we can make it. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me or to the Public Works Director. And you can find our emails on the city website. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. So now we're on to comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on any item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and replaced on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Okay, my usual statement here. Under the Brown Act, members of the public must address the city council as the legislative body of the city, not other members of the public or staff. So I'm now opening public comment. Is there any speaker cards, Janelle?
Mayor, we have one speaker card for Jamie Cruz.
Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm actually here on behalf of my mother that lives in Atwater. She lives on Fruitland Avenue. And while we're very appreciative of road work finally happening there, there was just a lot of questions we have about the choice to add 3 roundabouts on the section of Fruitland between Schaefer and Winton Way. And I did reach out to the city engineering department to find out what type of traffic analysis, traffic study, traffic warrants were conducted for that, but there really wasn't an answer other than the council had approved this and this is what we're doing. And so there's just a lot of concerns about the roundabout at 5th Avenue on Fruitland and how it will impact 4 driveways right there. So you'll have, you know, the residents exiting their driveway into a roundabout, which, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I feel like that's unsafe. It's just a lot of money for the roundabouts that don't really provide any extra benefit to that stretch of road. It's not highly trafficked. You're not removing the stop signs at those locations. There was no stop sign there, and now you're adding a roundabout. So it's just kind of confusing on what the intent of the project was, and we're just opposed to the roundabouts. I mean, we would love the road to be fixed, but the addition of the roundabout seems excessive and a waste of funds that could be used on a lot of other roads. I know you mentioned a lot tonight. There's other speakers here complaining about roads. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been stretched and improved in other areas. So that's all.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest to you is that you give your contact information to the city clerk, or the assistant city clerk, and I'll have the city manager reach out to you, and he can get together with the city engineer to get you the answers that you're looking for. Okay? Any other public comment?
Two things real quick. One is I only wish that Karen Arden was here to hear the dispatch news tonight. For those who don't know, Karen was a senior dispatcher for the city for about 35 years. Since June, she has been hospitalized with cancer and also sepsis and all kinds of other ugly things. She, to this day, is still hospitalized. And unfortunately, she retired in July and hasn't been able to spend a single day enjoying retirement. So God bless Karen, and I only wish that she was able to go and see the new dispatch. Secondly, I wanted to bring up that CalWorks mentioned in an article here just a couple weeks ago that due to water usage abuse, I guess, by the interpretation of the state, that Atwater is #1 in the abuse column. And as a result of that, the recommendation is for Atwater, stand by, is going to have to reduce its usage by 58%. Now, 58% is a lot. And on top of that, we also have a water and sewer increase that's coming. According to city manager, it'll be in the neighborhood of 3.5%, possibly this year, but has not been approved as of yet. And if it's pushed off to 2025, we could be looking at that 3.5 plus another 3.5 in 2025. So the costs are going to be coming down to the taxpayers. There's no getting around it. We ultimately all pay, and that's just the way it is. And I don't know how we ever got to this point where this is 58% abuse, but here's the other thing. We don't know how to reduce our usage. I don't know how to reduce my usage because, as I've told you countless times, I pay a flat rate of $172.52 a month. Whether I use that water or not, my monthly bill is $172.52. So how we're going to reduce this is anybody's guess. How I'm going to reduce my usage is anybody's guess because I don't have a meter such as the ones that are supposed to be installed that have actual numbers on them, and you can actually track and reduce the amount of water, thus reducing your costs. So this is one of those items that I hope this council thinks long and hard on to make sure that you do the right thing. This 58%, get together, figure it out. You got to get a plan together for this because water is going to be a huge problem.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. And now we're on city council reports and updates. Number 14, a letter opposing Assembly Bill 2557, proposing changes to the fundamental work of local governments by disincentivizing contractors from doing business with cities while increasing costs and delays. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So this recommendation came from the League of Cities, Steve Qualls, and he's recommending that the City Council approve this letter, which would oppose Assembly Bill 2557, and the details of this letter are included in the packet.
I assume everybody read that letter in the packet there. This is one of those things that Cal Cities occasionally sends us asking us to support or not support certain bills that are coming through. So the request from Cal Cities is to have me sign a letter to the State Assembly. But I would like to have a motion to do that. Anybody have any?
I'll make the motion to approve that. I don't want to see us lose our ability to choose who we want to work in our cities.
Okay, before we go with the second, I should have asked for public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none? Okay, does anybody care to, thank you for the motion there. Anybody would like to second that?
I'll second.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond. Kale?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Button?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. So now we're on to council member reports. We'll start with you, John.
I really don't have anything.
Okay. Danny?
That's a surprise. I'm going to try to keep this short. School's coming back in session in a couple of days. Please watch the roadways. We got little ones going to cross the streets. I don't want to hear by the next council that we've had an accident. So please, please, please watch what you're doing when you're behind the wheels. Put the phone down, put the sun visor, wear sunglasses, do something. Kids are coming back out. Thank you.
Okay, Brian?
First, real quick, to what former Mayor Price said was for Karen, our prayers are with her. And to the water issue you had mentioned, one thing I think the city we should start looking into is maybe getting a piece of property in the county where we could discharge water and get credits. So that way we can look at the offset that way. So it doesn't hit the residents, the ratepayer as much. So we could try to, mitigate that way. And something else with the homeless issues, with the governor issuing this new executive order, maybe look at the state to see if there's any monies to help with eradicating the homeless camps. Since his office did create the problem, maybe his office will help fund correcting it.
Tyler?
I like that.
Follow that one.
Yeah, man. too many good ideas right there. You know, I just, yeah, school's going to be back in session, like Danny said. Best of luck, and, you know, make sure you get some good pictures of your little ones if it's their first day of school for the first time, or if not, you know, I feel like it's a good, first day is always a good moment to cherish with your kids. You know, and I appreciate the city manager bringing up a lot of the bumps in the road, especially around 5th Street and Ralston Park and all that. And hopefully, you know, we can just put as much pressure as we can on PG&E. I know PG&E, you know, is going to PG&E, but you know, just with putting as much pressure as we can on these timelines, and you know, these steel plates are everywhere. I'm driving over them just as much as anybody else. And when school starts, I'm going to be driving over them a lot. So be careful out there, everybody, because those plates do throw your car off. I did have one question. So with Fruitland Road in front of the high school, are those? Are we going to be pretty clear as far as entry into those parking lots for the high school? For the city manager.
Yes, that we've timed that so that it's taken care of.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I also just wanted to, you know, the folks brought up with the, we're in the beginning stages of the 25 residential housing on Sunset, and you know, some valid concerns, and we're in the beginning stages of it. But you know, I think one thing I will say is that part of Atwater is going to be growing. We have an ACE train that's going to be coming in, you know, that's what cities do. They grow, hopefully in a good way. So hopefully long after I'm done here, the city continues to have a good plan forward on how that happens over there with the ACE train coming in. So, but I just wanted to add that a little bit. Really quick, I don't want to make a motion for the city to do a resolution or anything like that. I just wanted to just say my disappointment in Esmeralda Soria and Senator Caballero voting yes on AB 1955, which is going to limit parents' involvement in schools. There's no way around it. I've heard people say, oh, it's not really going to block parents from getting information from schools. It's literally in the text. It says that verbatim, that parents are not going to be notified about certain things that their kids are doing at school, like changing their name, changing their gender, changing their sex. Parents are not going to be notified. They're not told, they're told, literally told not to tell the parents. So very disappointed in our local law voters as they vote. So very disappointed in that. Really excited. I saw Mike's Comics is coming in. I'm a big comic book nerd guy, and I just wanted to say how excited I am. I saw their opening days coming up really soon over there by Food for Less, and yeah, looking forward to it. I teach a comic book club, and so want to collaborate with him when I can. That's all I got, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, real quick, I just want to put somebody on the spot. Joanna Garcia Rose just showed up, candidate for assembly, so I want to thank her for coming to our meeting and actually getting involved with our community since she lives out here. Thank you, Joanna.
Welcome.
It's good to hear what's going on everywhere that I could represent.
Yeah.
We've had meetings since we can. Thank you.
Okay, so our next meeting is August 26th. We have a lot to discuss, as you know, and meeting's adjourned.